Boxing's like a match. It's a match. That was like a mixture between a match and a fight. Like it was, we were fighting, but we were technical. We were there was strategy to it. There was precision. Yeah, it was a fight though, that's for sure. To get hit by her bare knuckles felt the same as MMA gloves. For me to hit her, I did feel my hands a little bit. I'm like, oh, that feels different, that's weird. And my hands are a little bit swollen, which they're not normally after MMA. But yeah, to be hit and to throw them, it was kind of the same as MMA. You just don't want to hit the top of the head because that's when you're going to hurt yourself. You don't do that in MMA anyway. No, you're going to hurt yourself as well doing that, so yeah.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, because you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Former UFC fighter Bec Rawlings is talking the difference between competing in MMA and bare knuckle boxing, which BKBFC just held their first event last night, I believe, in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It was their first card, and it actually seemed like a success. From what I've heard it was a great event. I didn't get to catch this one live, but I have watched an event like this in the past. I don't know if it's related to the same people, but there was an event called Bare Knuckle Boxing a few years back, and it was super entertaining. I couldn't believe what I was watching. My jaw was dropped. It was like boxing with no ring, no running. You know, it was like a way smaller circle, but it was boxing with bare knuckles. So there wasn't all of that padding. You were definitely seeing a whole lot of knockouts. There wasn't really, you couldn't walk backward either because this octagon was smaller. So pretty much what you were watching was, you know, these designated slugfest, but without the padding. So it's very entertaining, but as you can imagine, it's also very brutal. You see some brutal knockouts. It's very bloody. So I'm mixed on it because I'm thinking in my head like, yo, these motherfuckers are taking damage doing this. But at the same time, like, I'm watching it like this is some of the most entertaining fighting I've ever watched. You know what? So it's really a catch-22 there because, and also I don't really know how good this sport can be. I don't know. It's gonna be very entertaining on the events they can have. But look, even winners like Bec Rawlings, you see her hands like. You know, if you win in a UFC fight, you could fight again, you know, in 2 weeks if you win quick enough. If you win a decision, if you get a first round knockout, a second round knockout, you could still be fighting again soon. But here, you could fuck around and get a knockout and still break a knuckle, you know, or make your hands swollen and shit, or anything can happen with bare knuckle. You got less padding protecting your hands, and so you heard in the beginning the differences that she described. So break this down a little more. She was saying, as far as the feeling of the difference, she said, honestly, when I was getting hit, it felt the same as UFC gloves. The difference came when I was hitting. That's when I had to be careful because you're gonna fuck around and break your hands trying to hit somebody with bare knuckles. And so my thoughts are, why not just use UFC gloves? Use this format, but the padding level of UFC gloves. If it feels the same on your face, but it protects your hands, sounds like, I mean, but it would take away the whole name, right? Bare knuckle, because your knuckles aren't bare anymore. But I don't know, maybe something might have to change because with bare knuckles, I just don't know how quick you can have turnarounds. What if you fuck around and get a star? You know, your first bare knuckle fighting star. What if one of these people go 5-0? You know, I don't know. It just seems like you can't really carry off of their momentum because they're likely to injure their hand even if they win. So I don't really know how that's going to work. But I will say this. If they have a bare knuckle fighting championship too, I'll be watching because it is very entertaining, but you likely are not going to know a lot of the names on the cards. You knew a couple on this card. These are the results. You had Rico Rodriguez, former UFC heavyweight fighting. Also, you had Bec Rawlings on there. You might notice some of the other names, but not a lot of them. You know, a lot of these guys are probably people that needed an opportunity, and it looked like that as well. The couple of fights I did see, a couple guys, you know, out of shape, but it is what it is. I mean, it's probably pretty short notice to put this thing together. It's the first one. Who knows if it's even coming together? So when you get that call, like, hey, you want that check? You want to come show up and do this bare knuckle fight? And it's like, fuck it, let's go do it, you know? So, but this is the first event. I'm sure things are going to get better and better from here, hopefully. And we'll see what happens, man. I mean, it was entertaining, but at the same time, I'm still curious to see how far this sport can really go. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And if you watched it, what are your thoughts on the bare knuckle fighting championships? Did you enjoy it more than a UFC card or a boxing card even? And to me, it might be a happy medium. I think I enjoy it way better than boxing, but I don't know about UFC if I enjoy it more than UFC. To me, UFC feels a little more like a sport. I don't know what this feels like. I mean, I guess it's kind of this really just feels more like fighting, right? Like not as much of a sport, but this is just starting clearly, so it's gonna have to develop. And you know, there's not a sweet science to bare knuckle boxing yet. So people are gonna have to figure all of that out. But for right now, man, it just looks wild, but it's very entertaining. It's wildly entertaining. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out. And as always, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to join the notification gang, make sure you hit subscribe and also hit the bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to help this channel reach its full potential, consider hitting the PayPal link in the description or going to patreon.com/fulltimemma and becoming a patron. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.